Then we go to variables. So Dart is a type safe programming language, which means that it will explicitly specify types for each variable or figure them out using some kind of inference, where it actually uses the values, initial values, to understand what are the variable types. So over here you see that the keyword var is used to declare a variable called name. Name is actually the name of the variable over here. Similarly, you have year as the name of this variable, and then you have an assignment operation which assigns a string value to this particular name or a text value. So strings are basically used to store text values in Dart. 1977, this is an integer value, so year will be inferred as an int type, int. Name will be inferred as a string type. Antenna diameter will be inferred as a double type or a float type, because it's saying it's 3.7 over here, so this has a floating point number over here, so it will be a double value. Then you have a list object over here, so this will be inferred as a list object, and it will be a list of string types. So you'll have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So these are all the planets, and so this flyby objects is basically a list of all the planet names, which are string objects. So you have a list of strings. Then you have image. So image is basically a map. It's a key value pair, a map of key value pairs. The keys over here are both strings, and the values over here are actually not consistent. So one of them is a string and one of them is a list of a single, it just has a single element right now of a string. So it's a map of string to a dynamic object, right? So it's a map of string to object. So a very important suggestion is to always give your variables an explicit type. That is, you specify whether you want it to be a string or an integer or a double or a list of strings and so on, so that this helps in code readability. Whenever you're looking through a large piece of code and the language would infer the variable, but for you to infer it after having spent a lot of time elsewhere, coming back to an old code will be difficult. So it helps you in code readability, and it's just a good practice to specify your variable type, right? So let's just copy this list of variables and take it to the DartPad and try to print out the types, right? So just remember, always have the main function in DartPad and just put your code in between that. That's a requirement of the DartPad, right? And if you click run over here, it's simply going to run and assign the variable the values, right? So what we can do is we can add a print statement, and we can put the variable name dot runtime type. This is going to tell us what is the runtime type that Dart has actually inferred, and we can do it for all the variables. So let me just put this print statement everywhere and then change the variable names. So we have year over here, we'll change this. We have antenna diameter over here, we'll change this over here. And then we have flyby objects, change this. And then we have image, and we'll change this. And then we just simply click run over here, and we get all these variable types that Dart is inferred. So you see that name is inferred as a string, integer for the variable year, and antenna diameter is inferred as double. The next one is a list of string, which is the flyby objects, and then image is a map of string and object, right? And just to show this, so if I made this consistent, the type consistent, so both are now strings. Both the key value pairs are string to string mappings, right? And if I click run, now Dart should infer this as a map of string to string. All right. So that's all about variables in Dart, right?